Hello, everybody. Today, this is Alan Suss, and I'm from Travel Managers Australia, and also with a new website which is coming up, which is called thecruiseclubau.com.au or thecruiseclub.com.au. And today, I have the pleasure of talking with Steve Richards, Manager Director of AmaWaterways for Australia and New Zealand. Good morning, Steve. How
Hi,
are you?
Alan. Good, thanks, Alan. So lovely to be here with you. Thank you for the time.
Pleasure. And the first thing we need to say is you are not in jail.
No, I can touch the walls. This is a little tiny meeting room in the office, but people think it's a jail cell. But I am not in jail.
But certainly, if you were on one of the river cruises, one of the ships, and one of the cabins, you would your cabin would certainly be looking a lot better than
Oh,
you're in at the
yeah.
moment.
We have the largest size cabins or staterooms, we call them, and up to 66 square meters. So yeah, this is certainly a lot smaller than what we'd get on board.
Well, the good news is for Australians and anybody else that wishes to watch that is watching this Zoom talk, you have ships all around the world, and you're all over the place, and you're in lots and lots of rivers. The obvious rivers are Europe, but you're in other places as well. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, that's right, Alan. I mean, just a little bit of a background. AmaWaterways has been around for over 22 years and has been a leading award-winning river cruise company in that time. In this Australian New Zealand market, we were represented by APT. So they used to charter our ships. And that agreement ended on the 31st of December last year. And now we've come into the market under our own brand name, AmaWaterways. And yeah, we have 31 ships. Majority on the European rivers, like you said, the Rhine, the Danube, the Moselle, the Douro, and the wonderful French rivers. We also do the Mekong River between Vietnam and Cambodia. We do the famous Nile in Egypt. We do the Chobe River as well in Botswana. It's an amazing experience. And Alan, what's brand new in 3 weeks' time, we're going to be the first ever river cruise line to do the Magdalena River in Colombia. So that's super exciting. So we're pioneering that river, and that starts in about 3 weeks' time.
Well, it's certainly a lot of opportunity for a lot of Australians who wish to go and cruise the various rivers and river cruising. Uh, do you river cruising and sea cruising and exploration cruising? They're all different types of cruising. Uh, the the difference. What would you like to describe the difference between the various types of cruising that one can do?
Yeah, okay, for sure. I mean, there's a saying in the industry that we use that oceans take you to countries, but rivers take you through them. So, ocean cruising, I used to work in ocean cruising. It's a wonderful experience, and we get a lot of guests that actually combine ocean and river together in one holiday, particularly over in Europe when they're going a long way and they want to stay longer. But ocean cruising obviously travels the oceans and the seas of the world. Expedition cruising in ocean is considered normally to be the polar regions, Galapagos, Kimberley, those areas that are off the beaten track. And then river cruising traditionally sticks obviously onto inland waterways and rivers. But Colombia is actually, and Mekong to a degree, is expedition river cruising as well. To if you can say that way, in terms of we're going to places where there's no docking and port infrastructure really, and it's a bit more, getting off and doing hikes and walks through, very remote areas. But cruising in general is booming, absolutely booming, Alan, in particular Australian New Zealand market. People love the unpack once concept. You get on board and your luxury hotel and your room transports you around on a beautiful itinerary. With river cruising, you unpack once and you come down the rivers. There's no sea days though, like an ocean cruise. So every day you're in a port, sometimes multiple ports in a day. So you're not on the ship a lot. You're getting off the ship into these destinations. And Alan, if you look at the rivers of particularly Europe, I mean, these were the ancient highways for thousands of years. So a lot of these amazing towns and villages and even some of the great capital cities of Europe were founded on these famous rivers like the Danube and the Rhine. And we dock right in the heart of these cities and these towns and these villages. changes, and you just step off, and you go on a shore excursion, a guided tour, or you just wander around on your own, or you grab a bike and go for a little bike ride, and then you come back on for lunch, and you get back off again and after lunch, and it's just like I said, you unpack once, and that's your 7 nights or 14 nights. That's your holiday.
Yeah, the other thing that's now turning out to be very important with river cruising is that you have a hotel, you have all your meals, and you also have the opportunity of doing tours. Now, if you try to break all that up, you would be in fact paying a lot more if you did it as a separate tour. And
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we've done cost analysis on self-driving these routes, and it's actually better value for money on a river cruise, and you get more time in the destination. I mean, if you were to self-drive in your own, hire a car and then drive along these areas, you check into a different hotel every day. You've got to park car somewhere. You've then got to pay, for your meals that evening, and your drinks and your entertainment and your shore excursions. Whereas that's all included in the cost of the price. You don't have to worry about navigating the highways or directions or anything. We take you down the river and give you sometimes up to 6 different options per day to do on shore excursions. So there's really an abundance of choice. And the exciting thing, Alan, is we've seen a younger demographic really shift to river cruising. When it first came out in the 90s, it was more the sort of 70 plus kind of market, and we average 59 on board now. So what's happened is that the river cruise is getting a lot more active. So people are coming on, they're doing biking, they're doing hiking. On the dedicated wine cruises, we average 44 to 54 years of age. So it's definitely appealing to a younger market, but you get all sorts. We get a lot of multi-generational families coming on now as well, where they'll bring the teenagers and then the parents and the grandparents, and then those 3 generations just have a great time together because they can go off in the day and do their own things, and then they come together for lunch or dinner and share their stories.
yeah, well, I've been on a few river cruises now. And my very first one was, in fact, on one of your ships, and I found that a fantastic experience. And the great thing is that you bond with a lot of people on the ship itself, whether they're from the US or from Europe or somewhere else. Doesn't matter. You have a natural bond for 7 days, 14 days, whatever it may be. And I find that very interesting because when you travel by yourself and you're going to a city for 3 or 4 days, you're not necessarily going to be able to speak to anybody other than, say, vendors or waiters or whoever else. Yeah. So I find that interesting. I find the crew on board the ship also fantastic people, and they try to help you wherever they can. On some of the cruises that I've been, I've sort of said, "Oh, I want to have something else," and somebody's gone and cooked something else for me, and I'm thinking, "Oh, that's fantastic." The night entertainment's different from going on river cruise, going on ocean cruise, because people, by the time they do their walking around and all the rest of it, by 9 o'clock they're basically tired and want to get ready for the next day. So you don't and also the ships are smaller, so you don't have so much to walk on. You don't have so far to walk on the ship.
Exactly.
Just interesting. And what I like is that you go into a lot of these towns that you would not necessarily go to. For example, you go to Melk, or you go to you go and see the library at Melk, which is an amazing place to go and see.
The Abbey. Yeah,
at the Abbey there, and I because I used to live in Europe, so I've been to a lot of those cities. So to go back to them and go and visit them, and I sometimes when I'm going on a tour, I go to places that I haven't visited at all, or didn't visiting, or didn't want to visit at the time, and they're great opportunities. And of course, if you like bike riding and all the rest of it, there's opportunity for all of that as well. And you have a gym on board all the boats, do you?
Yeah. We're one of the only ones that has a swimming pool or a whirlpool on board the top deck of every single ship. We have a gym and we have a fleet of bikes, and we have a massage treatment room on board as well. So we're very big into wellness, Alan. We're one of the leading river cruise lines in the wellness space. We've got a wellness host on board. So every morning there might be sort of Pilates or yoga or stretch session. The wellness host is the one that takes the hikes and also the bike riding excursions as well. We have a very healthy choice in the dining room, in the menus for people that want that real health focus. So having a gym on board, having the pool, having the bikes. It's I mean it's funny. It's as active or inactive as you want it to be. So I
That's
mean, some people don't want to do any of that. They just want to lie around and eat a lot of food and relax, and they can do that. But if you wanted to stay healthy and do high activity, you can do it as well. So it's a really good choice.
what I also enjoyed doing was just sitting in my room, looking out the window as we go past, and see whether it's the locks or some of the scenery,
Mm.
and just sitting in the room. Sometimes I didn't really want to get off the ship and visit towns because I really enjoyed the ship. I think I enjoyed the ship entirely, and I thought, oh, I have to go and do a tour now. I really, it's really ruining my.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, it's such a wonderful choice holiday. You're right. Some people get off the ship at every opportunity because they really want to immerse themselves in the destination, and some people don't get off the ship at all because they just really wanted to read a good book or just relax on this holiday. And some people do a combination of both. They might do a tour in the morning, come back at lunch, have lunch, and then go back to their room or go to sit in the lounge, and then they don't want to go on an afternoon excursion again as well. So, and you can change that every day. You can put your request in for your short excursions 30 days prior to departure, but you can change them on the day. We just need to know numbers so that we can make sure that we got everything's available for everyone that wants to do everything. And our short excursions go ahead where there's only 2 people, or we don't take more than 20 at a time into one group. So it's very intimate and small experiences. And coming back to what you said earlier, Alan, I mean, there's only 150 people on board average. So it's a personalized experience where you're going to meet fellow like-minded travelers, whether it be from America, Canada, the UK, Europe, Aussies and Kiwis now coming onto into the product because we're located out here now. We had 16 different nationalities on one that I went on a few months ago.
That's
So,
amazing.
and
It's amazing that so many nationalities.
yeah. I mean, it's appealing to everybody. It's just such a growing market. It's so exciting. Yeah.
Uh, with regard to languages, how do people handle languages on board the ship?
So we only speak English on board in the public areas and in the announcements and in the excursions. So we only tend to generally get mainly English speaking countries, come on board as the guests. But of course, in your local areas, there's obviously the local languages are spoken, but the guides and the cruise managers are normally fluent in those languages in the areas that you're in.
The cruise that I went on with APT, which is your ship, the director on the ship, she was she a director? But anyway, she was there. She could speak about 5, 6, 7, 8 languages, whatever it was. So it was
Yeah.
a bit of fun because I could speak a few languages, a few words in a few languages. So we used to have this conversation, which was not really a conversation because she knew a lot more than I did, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And she somehow
Yeah.
thought that I could speak more languages than I really could. But she wanted to be a United Nations. She wanted to be able to be a translator for the United Nations, so that's why she knew so many languages, and she spoke
Wow. Cool.
really well, probably better than most of us could speak English.
Yeah. Yeah. They
And then I
do.
went on another cruise, and the thing is, they try to be funny, but the trouble is, they come from a country like if we're Australians, so we don't always think their jokes are all that funny, but they think they're very funny. But it's cute. I find it very cute, and I also found that you meet a lot of people from a lot of other countries, and you somehow you communicate, you bond with them, you find out pretty lots of information about where they live, the country they're living in. Maybe we
Mm.
don't talk politics very often because that's probably a no-no on a cruise. But it was fun, and the food is fantastic. Food is absolutely fantastic, and the wines are
Yeah.
terrific as well. So the quality on the ships is first class. Well, it's probably better than first class.
Yeah.
So I mean, if people
Yeah.
try to break it up, the value on a river cruise is fabulous and fantastic. Sightseeing. We'll talk about a little bit about sightseeing and all the different cities you go to.
Yeah, so like I said, we offer up to 6 different short excursions per day. What we do is we'll have a city tour or tour of the town at 3 different pace walking styles. So there's gentle pace, regular pace, and active. They're the 3 pace styles. And generally, as they go up, you go further on the guided walk, and you maybe do more stairs and harder areas. A lot of the photographers actually like the gentle pace because it's slower and they can really take their time, take some great
Oh, yeah,
photos.
yeah,
We have the voice, the quiet vox, so you put the earpiece in, and the tour guide can walk a bit ahead, and you can hear the commentary. So that's available. Then there's also the bike option is available as well. Different pace biking tours. Sometimes you can even race the ship. There's areas where you'll get on the bike and the ship will go to the next port 30 k's away, and you catch up to it at the locks, and then it gets away from you again and all that. But that's quite fun. There's hikes as well. There's culinary experiences which are really popular. So we might go truffle hunting in France, or chocolate making in Belgium, wine tasting in the Wachau Valley, and that's all included. All those sort of experiences. So there's really an abundance of choice when it comes to the excursions, and they're all done, Alan, in groups of no more than 20. Even though there's 150 people on board, you're all in groups of 20, so you can have a really personalised experience.
Talking about groups, because I'm organising or arranging a website that's going to be specialising in groups. Groups get discounts of various types. What size groups do you need? How many people do you need to have a group on one of your cruises?
You only need 10 people, or 5 cabins, really, and you consider the group, and then you get the group discounts, $250 off per person, and they get a few other amenities as well. And then the group can scale up from there, and you can go up to part charter, even to full charter, where you can take the entire ship, and you can even change the nautical schedule of the ship as well. So yeah, groups from as small as 5 cabins up to the entire ship. It's a great experience, to go together.
So if a family took five cabins, they would get a price break.
Yeah. I mean, you get groups that they all know each other like that, or you get groups that don't know each other, and the travel advisor like yourself has put the group together with people that don't know each other, and they obviously get to know each other really well. Or you can have a group that all know each other. You often get like little wine groups come in, or history groups. We do some bridge groups are quite popular. They like to play bridge a lot on board, and all those sort of things. Yeah,
well, that's people, but I think many people don't realise that they might have 5 or 6 people, friends, going on board, but only have to get a couple more people, and it's not always that they have to get it. We as travel agents can help to organise the group for them. But people are just not aware that that's an option that they can start looking at, and that's what my website's going to do, is to make people aware. Look at go as a group. Doesn't take many people on a river cruise to have 5 cabins is really nothing when you think about it. You take an extended family, might 5 or 6 or 7 cabins.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said earlier, we're getting big multi-generation impact, and we have interconnecting rooms on board. We have triple and quad share, so you can take 4 people in a room, and in the bigger rooms, triples and interconnecting. We take as young as 4 years of age, Alan, but we don't tend to get a lot of little children. It's not really catered for young children in terms of entertainment and so forth. But the youngest we generally get is the teenagers, who they're worldly, they want to learn, they want to immerse themselves in the destination. Yeah,
that's a great opportunity for young people. I never had it when I was young, so today it's fantastic now. Absolutely. Do you want to talk about the various rivers that you do go on? We don't have to spend much time on each one, but people are probably not aware of how many rivers that you do have access to these days, and there's more coming up all the time.
Well, exactly. We're always scouting for new rivers, and I can mention a few opportunities. But I mean, look, probably the most famous is probably the Danube, right? So it's the second longest river in Europe, goes through more countries than any river in the world. So it goes through 10 countries. The Danube River sources itself in the Black Forest of Germany, and then it flows through Germany, right through Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, and then once you get down to Budapest, we call that the Upper Danube, and then you can do the Lower Danube. So from Budapest down to Giurgiu in Romania, the Lower Danube, that river, that takes you through the Iron Gates Gorge and into communist Europe. You're going through Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania. Now you can do 2 7-nighters or a whole 14-night cruise from Vilshofen in Germany right down to Romania, and you're going through 4 capital cities, lots of little villages and towns, and you're seeing Western Europe and Eastern Europe in one experience. The other famous river is the Rhine River, Alan. So that starts in the Swiss Alps, and it works its way. If you visualize the geography, it's the border of Germany and France, making its way all along there, and then out into Germany, and then the tributary of the Main River comes into it. just past Frankfurt, and then you go through the Rhine Gorge, which is there's 40 castles on both sides of the river, and we go through it during the day, and people go up onto the top. On the picture behind you can see they go onto the top deck. Actually, the picture behind you, that's Passau, which is on the Danube. That's three rivers actually meet together there, which is pretty cool.
In Austria.
And in the Rhine, you go then after the Rhine Gorge, you got the intersection of the Moselle. The Moselle River is stunning. It's considered the hidden secret of the European rivers because not many ships go down. It's you can go as far as Luxembourg pretty much on the Moselle, but it's technically a tributary of the Rhine. And then from there you can continue on to Amsterdam, and then at the around Amsterdam, Rotterdam is the huge delta of the Rhine River, and there's about 8 or 9 other rivers that feed into that delta. You got the Douro, Alan, which is in Portugal, very popular river. The Douro Valley is UNESCO World Heritage. The entire valley is the oldest demarcated wine region in the world, dating back to 1756. Very big on the port wine. You go from Porto to the border of Spain, and you can finish there, or you can come back to Porto again. And the French rivers, the Seine. We all watched the Seine at the Olympics last year, Paris, of course. We take guests down to Normandy, and you can end there, or you can come back to Paris and do different stops on the way back. There's the Saône, which goes from Dijon down to Lyon, and then at Lyon it becomes the Rhone River, and that Rhone is the only major river that flows into the Mediterranean Sea down near Marseille. And then there's the Bordeaux. There's 3 rivers that make up the Bordeaux area. Very big famous wine region. If you've got wine lovers, that's going to be their mecca. Yeah, well, that's Europe. And then there's, like I said, there's the Mekong,
Yeah.
Nile, Chobe, and the Magdalena.
Well, there's no shortage. So if you want to do one river cruise a year, you've probably got 10 years of river cruising in that way.
Oh, you got longer, and we're bringing on new. I mean, the Magdalena River is brand new. We're bringing that on now in 3 weeks' time. We've got. I can't release too much information yet, but we've got our eyes on another African river. That would be incredibly exciting. The Ganges is on our radar a little bit at the moment. In India, China's got some amazing rivers as well, and some that we haven't tapped into yet. So yeah, I mean, you see a lot of these rivers are not navigable, so you need government support and so forth to help you with the infrastructure and the dredging of the rivers. And we did that in Colombia with the Colombian government. They got behind us because they can see they were going to bring tourism into Colombia, and they backed us, and they helped us together. 5 years of research and development.
Perfect.
That went into this.
Surprisingly, Australia doesn't really have any rivers that we could use. Not long enough, anyway.
We have the Murray. We have the Murray River. There's a paddle steamer that goes on that. It's a small operation. It's a problematic river though, because it goes dry quite often and all that, But no, we're not blessed in Australia with a lot of great rivers, unfortunately, that we can take ships on.
Talking about going dry, and we only have a few minutes left. What happens when you go on the Danube, on the Danube? How do you do that? Because I was on a cruise a couple of years ago, and of course the river became relatively dry, and the ships couldn't go any further. So we had to go and transported by bus and whatever else, which I always thought, oh, I hate that. I want to be on the boat. How do you?
We don't do that, Alan. Yeah. So you have high water and low water issues. So high water is when there's too much water and you can't get under the bridges, and then low water when it runs dry. We've got the lowest draft, which is from the waterline to the bottom of the vessel of any fleet. So we're one of the last to have to stop. But how we do it, Alan, is operationally the schedule is set so that the ships will pass each other at problematic areas that are known to be either low water or high water problem. And normally they just go right past each other and they continue on that voyage. However, if there's a problem, we dock the ship and then we do ship swapping. So the guests have to pack, they go off on a shore excursion. We then transport all their luggage into the exact same room, number, type that they were on, and then the ship turns around and continues back the way it came, and the other guests do that vice versa. So we don't bus you. You stay on a ship and you experience the river. And it's called ship swapping, and only companies like ours with a big fleet can do it. If you haven't got a big fleet, you don't have enough vessels to be able to do it.
Yeah, and also you got the lower draft as well. The more
you got the lower draft. Yeah. I mean, when the Rhine went dry 6 years ago, we were the last stop. We had a company stopped 3 weeks before we did, but because our draft was so low, we kept operating.
3 weeks. Wow. Anyway,
3 weeks actually.
Steve, fantastic. I'm looking forward for my next river cruise sometime this year. I don't know. to pick one of those. I'm thinking of France this time around, maybe two.
Oh yeah, it's so popular at the moment.
I'm thinking of two river cruises together, back to back. So, I'm just quite happy to be on a river cruise. I know it's not
Yeah,
for everybody, but the people that love river cruising, and that's me. And people
yes, that's
like
great
me.
to hear.
Yeah, I keep thinking I could do the more advanced hiking, but I find that probably a little bit beyond me these days. I go bike riding, and I still think, oh my God, what am I doing this for? But it's
Yeah,
fun. It's
each to
great
their
fun.
own. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, Steve, thank you very much for coming on, and I will send you this recording so you can do whatever you wish to do with it.
Thank you, Alan. Really appreciate the time. Lovely chatting with you.
Okay, it was great to speak to you, and there's probably a lot more questions. If people have questions, certainly send me a question. Don't send them to Steve. He's got plenty of work to do. He doesn't need questions from everybody
No,
else.
you send them. You send them to you, and you send them to me. I'll answer for you.
All
Yeah.
right. What a good idea. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Steve. Steve is the Managing Director of MA Waterways for Australia and New Zealand, and I'm Alan Suss from Travel Managers Australia. And if you have any questions, by feel free to send them to me, and Steve and I will answer you. All the best. Thank you very much, Steve. Goodbye and
Thank you.
greetings and have a great year. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan. Take care. Bye.